Hey, what's going on the YouTube? That's SEO0320 and JVS. I was able to watch the brand new Sicario 2. The name of this one is The Day of Soldado. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, but I went to see the screening tonight, and I don't know, I'm going to try to unravel what I processed about it, because there was a lot that actually happened. I went into this movie anticipating this being like just watching Antonio Banderas' character just be unleashed, so to speak. And technically that does happen. Alejandro does get the opportunity to be unleashed and really putting the fight to the forefront, so to speak. But at the same time, my man Josh Brolin has been all over the place. He's had 3, now technically this will be his 3rd, hit blockbusters this year. One was, of course, Deadpool 2. Next one was Infinity War, and then now it's Sicario 2. And like, Josh Brolin nailed it. Like, I think that his performance in this one was just as good, if not better, than the last one, because they actually give him something to do. They are allowing the progression of these characters, specifically Alejandro and Josh Brolin's character, to kind of be unraveled in what their fight is really all about and what are the ins and outs. And I think, honestly, the best parts about this film is watching them work outside of their element. Like, when you see, like, okay, they don't have it all under control like they did in the very first movie, because the first movie really focused on Emily Blunt and her really just kind of being probed and then dissected and then being in shock, coming on the outside of understanding how the drug cartel really works. And these two men, they're just working outside the radar. Now, these two men have sanctions and have the ability of being able to do more. It's interesting because they bring in more of a government side of things. They get, like, the president is able to allow them to be able to do certain things, as well as they add in another character named Cynthia, played by, I think her is Catherine Kenner. The thing I don't like about Cynthia is I feel like she's unnecessary. In the sense that when she gets there, like, I was like, why is she there? Because what happens is, the actress is a good actress. I know the actress is really good, but she comes off as this kind of cliche that gets in the middle of the prime objective. On top of that, it adds more layers to an already multi-layered story with these characters that really have these interesting ambitions, but are willing to do whatever they need to do to justify the means of getting this done. And it's kind of just like, she felt like a hurdle that brought the movie down. And I mean, from the point that she's there until the very end of the film, like, that's what I felt the whole entire time. Like, government officials and government people are going to do one thing one way or another. I could kind of predicted that. But it was kind of like, it pulled the movie back, and it was kind of like, it was a means to an end kind of thing, her character, in and of itself. Now, that's not to downgrade Alejandro or Matt, which is Josh Brolin's character. I think that they do such a really good job with specifically Benicio del Toro, because before in the first movie, it was like, I need to get vengeance for the person that killed my family. Now it's like, the people that they were working for, I want to bring them down. Here comes introduction of an interesting little girl. What is her name in real life? Isabella Moner, which is interesting because she plays the role of Isabel Reyes. Isabel, I don't want to say what her role is, but she is very much so connected to the people that they're trying to bring down. And I think that the young actress does a really good job. Like, I can feel the shock, I can feel like the emotion coming off of her most of the entire film. Like, in the very beginning, like, you see a totally different person in the way you see it at the end. Kind of like what happened with Emily Blunt. This shock and this understanding of, like, the world around her just kind of changes her perspective on everything. Matter of fact, they do some interesting things with Benicio del Toro's character towards the third act. I was kind of just like, what is really going down? I think the only thing that I would say that was kind of disappointing on top of Cynthia as a character was the fact that I wanted Alejandro to really go all out. And they do give him some moments that he's able to kind of spread his wings, and them as a team, they're just so amazing, period. But I was looking for Alejandro to do this, that, and this, and I want to temper you guys' expectations so you can understand that Alejandro is not going to be doing a whole lot like you think that it alludes to in the movie. Now he does some amazing stuff. Like he does get unleashed, but it kind of barely hits the pinnacle of what it could be. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think that's the only detriment to the film, because it kind of left that illusion to me based on the first few trailers, and I didn't see that many after that. I didn't see any TV spots either. There's another character played by Elijah Rodriguez. It's I think it's I don't know if it's Manuel Hernandez. I think it might be Miguel. But Miguel, in the very beginning of the film, you see him kind of just with his family and whatnot. Kind of like the cop in the very first movie, where you kind of get to see like how he starts off his day and then how he gets to where he's got to go. And by the end of the film, it's going to make you question his character. And that's why I'm feeling so perplexed. If I could define how I feel about Manuel or Miguel's character, I feel like I could put the film at a higher platform. And I don't know how to say that anymore without spoiling anything, but there's certain things that happen to Manuel, and certain things that he does, and certain things that just is too coincidental for me to justify where things happen and where the chips kind of lied by the end of the third act. Because the third act, it might actually upset some people just because they do take some very bold choices in terms of what they do with certain characters, and that character definitely does play a pivotal role in that. And it's like my perception of what his role was is different than what I saw. And I know a lot of you guys are wondering, like, does that mean that there's going to be more later on? Maybe, maybe not. This movie will make you think by the end of it. I think that from a production standpoint, given that this is not the same exact director, I think the cinematographer might be the same. I think it's some great performances. I think that they do a really good job with the cinematography. I think they do a really good job with the direction and the pacing. Pacing does keep on a really good thriller kind of a feel. But there are some consequential choices that make certain things really cliche, like I said, with the way the government utilizes Cynthia. And on top of that, like, I would love to the illusion that I would see a lot more of Alejandro being unleashed, and that isn't what's happened. On top of a really big question with this young man that I don't... You guys tell me. Once you see the movie, let me know in the comment section below, or maybe I'll try to do a spoiler review, or maybe just a spoiler section just on his character alone. That's how pivotal a perspective that it might change for me the way I look at this film moving forward. But I think it's a really good time. It's really thrilling. Definitely leaves on a really interesting note. Very different than the first movie, but I think it's just as good. But I think I could see some people being very upset with the way things do end. So all in all, I'd probably give this between an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. I think if you enjoyed the very first movie, you definitely owe it to yourself to watch this. And I mean, be quite honest with you, Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro, you guys did a great job. And we'll see what they do with this moving forward. But hope y'all enjoyed this review. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys.